Hello, my name is Charles. In today's video, I want to talk about what age traditionally meant and what it means now. Like, what did age mean back in the day, and what does age mean now? I think, I think the way, at least back at different cultures have kind of different stratifications. Or principles around seniority and youth. But I think traditionally, at least in a lot of countries, right, or in a lot of places, age used to mean, right, as lived experience and as maturation continues. As you grow in life experience, you're wiser, you're more sensible, your decision-making capacity, the quality of your decisions. So there's a slight nuance, and I know this is going to sound a little philosophical, but there's a slight nuance in the sense that with decision-making capacity in youth, and especially at around the ages of 18 to 30, right? There's this huge capacity to execute on decisions, or at least energy. There's this natural biological energy. There's this vitality, assuming you're taking care of yourself, sleep, wellness, purpose, etc., right? There's a sense of vitality and vigor associated with youth traditionally. So in terms of the ability to execute, even traditionally, I think youth was seen as there's vitality, there's a sense of aliveness. And as kids, we know there's a sense of, traditionally there's a sense of innocence, but with seniors, or not seniors, sorry, I might have been rude to some, but with older populations in traditional times, I think it was genuinely represented as the wise elders, in that the quality of their decisions was so refined, like a fine wine, like a Cheval Blanc 1947. They had essentially gotten to a stage where they had lived, assuming they had done well, they have lived to a stage where they kind of knew how to play the cards. If you've ever, and I think, and in today's generation, there's there's two things, there's a multitude of things, but there's two main things that come with this that pop in my mind that I would love to share with this. So age now in America, especially with the baby boomer generation, in the current Gen Z, Gen Alpha or whatever, that generation, right? The 18 to 30-year-olds now, and maybe even 35-year-olds or whatever, they recognize, right? So there's kind of a polarity, right? There's kind of a crackling of the usual traditional what age meant in stratification. Because in recognition that in the time of great affluence during the baby boomer generation, where there was such abundance in terms of accessibility to get good jobs. I mean, you have people like Timothy Leary, you have, a bunch of people essentially able to live. I mean, Timothy Leary was a highly educated, intelligent individual, but there's a decent amount of people who it didn't require the same degree of credentials, barriers, obstacles. There wasn't the sense of efficiency with AI. There's more of a, I guess, human sense, or maybe even sense of community. I wasn't there. I wouldn't know. But I know from what I imagine or understand, there's an abundance in terms of the accessibility. You could be a plumber and support a family, and the barrier or the distance to travel wasn't so far to get to that dream or vision or perceived goodness within a family, within a marriage, within love, etc., right? Or within life. So So now the current generation, the Gen Zs, look at the baby boomers, and when told, like, oh, you just got to pull yourself up by the bootstraps and grind hard, they're like, well, in today's generation, right, that you have companies like BlackRock and all these that so many people are recognizing that have, insane funds that are just buying properties and constantly are amassing huge amounts of properties. Now, that isn't to be said that the possibilities and that the technology and even the innovation in today's time doesn't allow for success. There are vehicles of success. There are ways of succeeding. That isn't to acknowledge that privilege can play a role, that the spawn point, so to speak, if this was like a video game of life, affects, some degree of the trajectory or the tools, what's available before you, traverse your journey of life, at least in the world. And so now the Gen Z, because of this, some, and I'm not going to say I haven't flirted with this idea or haven't felt this in some times, that it is in some sense unfair that some of the generational systems or generational systems of wealth, so the normal stratification where, let's say in hunter-gatherer times, where the elder would guide in decision making, in rites of passage, the youthful vigor, because they have the energy and vitality, those 18-year-olds or whatever they were at the time, to hunt, to lead the tribe, but they need the wisdom and the discernment, the lived experience to know the right ways, to know how the cards are going to be dealt, so to speak. And so that usual system has been broken because now some of the younger generation, the Gen Z, doesn't want to, or because it's a different world in some sense with the advent of all this technology, like the YouTube I'm talking to you on now, that the baby boomer generation is like, well, what do I do? Or they're trying to give advice, but the advice doesn't necessarily apply, and then the younger generation is getting mad. So the normal stratification. So what then does the Gen Zer do? And even the baby boomer generation, what do they do? Well, first, we'll go into the Gen Zer. What does the Gen Zer do in these times? I think you answer 3 fundamental questions. In my theory, at least, this is my theory that I'm working with. Now I do have spiritual beliefs and kind of like certain beliefs or experiences with kind of in life circumstances regarding how things come about, but my belief is with three main questions need to be answered, because I think in today's time it's a matter of leverage. The exact activity is not, because right, let's say you're hunting. You hunt. Well, there's a direct proportion to I grind, I hunt after the animal, I run after the animal, I run after the animal. It's like hunter-gatherer society. I run after the animal, then I kill it, then I got it, I got some food for some time, I'm good to go, right? That's like, traditional. But in today's society with technology, with the way business is structured, with the way things are, at least businesses, people can buy and sell everywhere, there can be exponential growth. So it's a matter of leverage. So the 3 main questions, there's going to be what you do. What you do is, at least in my experience, I'm a computer science major, and that's kind of a meta decision or whatever. But what you do, super important, because that's partially going to determine the leverage equation. Like how much leverage does your activity yield in the marketplace? Second is going to be where you do it. So where are you stationing? And the reason I say where are you stationing, now with things interconnected, it's kind of nice, but the reason where are you stationing has some degree of importance, because the people around you, the environment around you, is going to present you opportunities. You have to be attuned to the opportunities life presents. de-stressing, love, connection, spirituality will help you align with those, and having like a good vision, but being aware of the opportunities around you. Let's say you want to be an actor, right? And you decide to move to Fairfield, Iowa. You're not doing the right thing. LA has big acting jobs. Hollywood is there. You want to go to huge populous cities where acting jobs are available, and the people you will meet will align you with that vision. Or even, even if it's not a commercial pursuit, let's say, you want to be around wholesome, loving, wonderful human beings, just the creme de la crop in terms of the sweetest and sincerest and kindest of folk. Then you want to be in certain beautiful neighborhoods, in relaxed areas, in villas, in Christian colleges, or wherever you want to be. That was my experience, at least. And so then the third question is what are you going to do? Where are you going to do it? And who are you going to do it with or for? Now, for can lead you much, much farther in my experience. Who are you going to do it with also? Because, for example, I have an internship as a computer science major, and it's a data automation intern. To be honest, I don't even know how to do like 50% of the activities. You kind of got to learn on the job. But if your capacity to learn is good, then you can pick up pretty quick. But the thing is with internships, who are you going to intern for? Because the who, right? Even if you have a person or a love or a vision that you're doing it for, right? Like a reason to do it. That's just beyond the breaded paper, because you can only, or the bread getting paper. You can only have so much of that. You can only, right? It's, at some point, it's just a hedonic pursuit of, essentially emptiness and trampling over others and wishing there was something to fill the void. So don't go after that. Many have tried and many have realized it's waste. Learn from them. So you have some love you're doing it for, some vision you love that you're doing it for, someone, some vision now, who you're going to do that high leverage, like the what activity you're going to do, who you're going to do it for, or who you're going to do it with. Who you're going to do it for absolutely matters, and the reason matters. That's probably most important. But who you're going to do it with also matters. What I mean by this is I know this is long, right? Very long explanation. But in short, take Mark Zuckerberg or, right, in college, right? These two people meet, or the two programmers meet, they exchange ideas, they have a beautiful project they want to work on, and they start inventing this beautiful thing. And what they did was a high leverage activity, and who they did it with surrounded them with the ideas, the opportunities, and where at the college, at the university, where those kinds of people would meet, allowed for that to occur. So arrange those three things. So if you have a special someone or a special vision you absolutely love, arrange the three main prongs around that person or vision to maximally succeed. So what you're going to do, at least this is my advice to all Gen Zers, right? If you're looking to maximize, the leverage, because I think it's a leverage thing. Not all jobs are proportionate into the amount of work, right? It's kind of sad, honestly, that construction workers are breaking their back, but they're only making, such an like $20, $30 an hour when they're, sorry, my OBS lagged, but $20, $30 an hour when literally they're like building the buildings that we inhabit and keep us safe and don't fall on us. When the guy at, Morgan Stanley is like looking at Excel spreadsheets for, and he's like, oh, well, I make 200 grand for looking at these Excel spreadsheets and figuring out how I'm going to profit off, some guy losing in the stock market. And so it's like, that's garbage. So that's a little bit of garbage, but that's just the system. So we want high leverage activities, and hopefully they are of service. We can mitigate that with being of service and being of love. So high leverage, what we do, so we have the person, let me be clear. be focused. We have the person that we are devoted to, that we're going to do it for, or the vision, like your goal, what you want to create in the world, etc., or the person you want to do it all for. Then you have what you're going to do. So whether it be computer science, you're going to code, you're going to make an app, you're going to, I don't know, start some service business, B2B or business to customer, whatever it is, right? You have what you're going to do, and you want it to be very, very high leverage. You have what's it called? Where you are going to do it, like where you're going to be stationed, because that's going to present opportunities around your environment. And then who are you going to do the high leverage activity with? Because who you're going to do the high leverage activity with will also influence, for example, if you do the high leverage activity and you do it with, someone who you see great vision and intellect with, and they propose that you should sell your code, to like this business and then invest the money, right? They will give you ideas that will allow you to further launch the trajectory that you wouldn't otherwise have. So, and if it's all for that special person, then that's what you need to do, or vision. So that would be my advice to Gen Zers. And now for the baby boomers. What do the baby boomers do? Now, I'm not a parent, and parenting is an incredibly hard job. Absolutely one of the most difficult, I'm sure one of the most rewarding and beautiful and amazing experiences for so many. But it is a very, very difficult job. Very. It's a beautiful thing of unconditional love. But gosh, it's hard. Right? And so I can't say I know, not here to criticize. Okay, you guys are doing the best. All props to you. And so what would the Gen Zer do to best support, in my mind? Like if I was trying to ask for, and the parent, any of my parents would perfectly, do this stream of behavior, thought and action, or speech and action, right? What would I what would best support me in my mind? And then hopefully that would apply to most Gen Zers. So if I was a baby boomer and I was trying to figure it out, I would help them cultivate and guide them. I would the discerning wisdom in the life experience you have. Some things in life are tried and true. Like you sow, so you shall reap, right? You can judge a fruit, or you can judge a person by the fruits of their actions, right? Like you just, there's some things that are just the way they are. And so your wisdom there, you can guide them and counsel them in almost character selection when they're choosing the who they're going to do the activity with, right? Then you can cultivate what would be an ideal environment. Like, how can I support them to get them in an environment that would best suit their high leverage activity? And this is where the internet is a great resource, right? We can look things up. We can talk to other people, right? And especially as like a concerned parent, I guarantee, as a concerned and loving and supportive parent, if you call someone who has walked the path, let's say your child is trying to do, we'll just use me for an example, it's easier to think about. Sorry for being lazy. But let's say you're trying to support your child in their computer science goal, and you want to talk to a software developer. I guarantee if you email ones that are on LinkedIn or other platforms in any way you can, and you're just concerned, loving, sincere parent, hey, do you mind giving my son or daughter 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes of your time? Figure out where's the best to be? How can I best support my kid in this? where can I send them? Where's the best place to send them? They would be happy to help you out in that regard. So help them find the optimal where, and most likely, I know parents are, gripe about this sometimes. You may have to also financially support where they go, but trick of the trade. And they better be grateful. I'm grateful. And then lastly, what they're gonna do, where they're gonna do it, and who they're gonna do it. Oh yeah, or what they're. Oh, and yeah, help them. Now the last one, and this one is a little more hands off when it comes to what the high leverage activity is. Like when your child is deciding what his high leverage activity is that he wants to pursue. In this moment, this is where you just cultivate them as a person. Like I would most appreciate just focus wellness. If I naturally attend to music, if I naturally like, philosophy or neuroscience or coding or this, right? Cultivate just what would support that, or like them as a person, help them get study material, right? Just cultivate and don't try to control it too much, because naturally what they pursue best at, as long as the conducive conditions are right, it's like a cooking pie. They'll succeed, they'll go at it, they'll enjoy it. And then finally, the most hands-off, and where they appreciate the most support genuinely, even if it's just, happiness, support, approval, in any way you can. Whoever they do this all for, whoever your son or daughter does it all for, whoever they love, whatever vision they have that they're doing it all for, just do your best to support that, love that, appreciate it, and just support that fully, because that's where their happiness lies, and that's the root of why they're doing all the rest of it. So that would be my advice. Now that, and if we tie it all in back to the original thesis of the video, this is how I would say the transition has gone, at least in America. Maybe in other places it's different. Seniority and the traditional, age structures are still established. But at least in America, for those dealing with Gen Z kids, or even being a Gen Zer yourself, from the traditional way, which is not bad, and there's nothing wrong with it. It worked wonderfully, and it has its merits, and it makes total biological and normal sense. Traditional sense of the age structure, and to modern America, and if what the age looked like back then, what the age structure looked like back then, and how to best deal with it now. That is my full-on thesis. Gosh, that was a lot of words, wasn't it? But I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you could follow with that juicy energy, you got a fast brain. But I hope anyone listening enjoyed it, benefited from it, and I'm wishing you nothing but the best. God bless. Have a wonderful night.